And one other thing that screws you up is you get a long and at the end of it, there's because I filled it out 3 times.
I'll find out before I see you.
Okay, we can get started. Stone and Ms. Granville from the Department of Employment and Training are here to give us a overview of the one-stop shop for them.
We're going to, Debbie Granville, Human Resources, Employment and Training. First, we're going to have Sonia go. Sonia Barrett is our Business Services Manager, and she's going to give you a little presentation on our youth program we're going to do this summer.
Okay.
And I'll just add, this was in, Sonia did a presentation to our department directors, elected officials, and court administrators on the youth intern, and it was a suggestion that she come to this meeting today so that the commissioners could hear about this as well, because it's not just for public employment, it's for private industry, and so maybe some of your constituents may be interested in this. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to come here and share some information with you. We have always had a youth program, but we've looked at it and we've kind of sort of tweaked it, and we've come up with a novel idea, whereas we're trying to match the kids up with opportunities that are in the fields where they have an interest. And we're always looking for partners in our business community to provide opportunities where you can provide an experience where the individual becomes your employee for an 8-week period of time. What we're hoping is that individuals that participate in the program have an opportunity to learn skills, to learn what it means to be a good employee, to show up to work on time, to develop a skill that will hopefully lead them to a path, and if they go off to college, that they may really want to come back here into back to our community to work and live. To be a partner with us with the work experience is really easy. We have not job order forms, but work experience forms where you provide us information on what the youth will learn as far as skills, what your needs are, and we go through and match them up with you. If you want to meet with them prior to choosing an individual, we can do that. So it's almost like a interviewing kind of an atmosphere. Anything that you need to match and any information you need to meet these people prior to, we're open to doing and working with. They're on our workers' compensation, well, our contractors, and they're paid minimum wage. They can't, work with chemicals. They can't work with heavy equipment and hazardous machineries and things like that. There's some restrictions, but we have a business consultant that will go over that with you, letting you know what they can do and what they can't do. We were looking to come up with good matches, and we have a pledge where we need to come up with 100 work sites by the 1st of May. We know that we're going to have a minimum of 90 individuals available. Now here's the thing. The kid has to have an interest in the field. So that means for some of you, if we fill out a worksite interest form so we know what you're looking for, if a young person doesn't select that as a career path, you may or you may not have someone that we present to you. If you don't know how to put the job description or the worksite description together, our business consultants will be more than happy to come and meet with you to kind of look at what the job is and help you write that and put it out there. We are looking for as many partners, again, as possible. It's a great opportunity. It gets the young people engaged in something that's productive. It helps them learn a valuable skill. And it really helps them connect with what's available in our community that they may not be aware of. And again, we're really looking for any business partner that we can get, whether it's in government or if it's in the private sector. We need these opportunities. We need to work with our young people. They would be yours again for 32 hours a week. Friday is a protected day, at least half of the day, where they can reconnect with their career developers to make sure they're on track, that they're staying, going to work on time and doing what they need to do. But they're yours. We really try to have them working in 8 to 5 because we assist with transportation and things like that. But it's a great opportunity. We've done it in the past. We're making it better this year. And we're always looking for partners. What I've done is I've brought these sheets. And I'm going to leave them maybe on a table back there. I would encourage you to pick one up, take a look at it. I'm also going to leave some information about our business services team and my cards. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to contact me. I'd love to come out and talk to you more in detail about how this program could better fit with your needs and getting you connected with some of our youth.
Sonia, what are the ages of the kids?
14 to 21. 14 to 21.
You said something, I missed it. You said something about workers' comp.
They're on our payroll, on one of our contractors' payroll. We pay their wages, they're on their workers' comp. So there's no, you don't have to worry about anything. You train them, you evaluate them, you treat them like your employee, but you don't have any, obligation beyond that. And there's a period of doing evaluations on them, and we encourage you to work with, treat them like any other employee.
The restrictions, you mentioned chemicals and fuels. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
A lot of it's going to hinge on what type of the duties that you're requiring them to do. And we have a handbook that you will get prior to getting a youth assigned to you. And we go over all of that in detail because they can't spray different things. There's certain environments that they're protected and they just can't work in those environments. And it pretty much follows the laws for the youth, having underage youth working.
Sonia, you said 14 to 21. Now, when they come in, many of them will not know exactly what they want because they haven't been exposed to that much. But will you show them various things that you will be doing, and perhaps that will pique their interest and they're interested in that?
They're working a lot with their career developers, doing career explorations and things like that, and they will be able to see what type of opportunities we have available. But when we get the listing of the kids, their interests have been identified. We won't always have a perfect match, so we will share with them whatever opportunity is there because we don't want any of them to go without a work experience. And another neat thing we have is we have a new program called JAG, Jobs for America's Graduates, and that's a pilot program at Muskegon High School. And those kids are really going through some intensive training. It's a great program. The ones that come from that program will have first dibs on any work experience that we have. So we know we have at least, well, possibly 36 from that. But they
the graduation.
Okay. So this is our first year with that, so we're really excited about that. And those kids have, the person that's working with them, Jessica, is doing an amazing job. I've not met any of them, but I'm hearing rumblings in the community, and it's a really positive thing. So they're going to get first shot at the jobs.
If I could just make a comment, I think this is a great idea. I hope you can find 100. I don't know. That sounds like it. If I had a business, I would. I just wanted to say though that I remember when I was a kid, I worked for my uncle who had a sporting goods store for a couple of summers, and in my success in business, I attribute a lot of it to that experience when I was 15 and 16 years old. Because I still think about it. He was crazy in some ways because he if you could imagine a large store with not a single price tag, like you had to ask him everything, like how much is this and how much is that. But he was just a really good business guy, and those experiences it's a good thing for people.
And a lot of our youth don't really know what's out there, as Mrs. Wilkin says, that's out there available to them. They just think of what they've seen in their small quarters at home. Mom works at the hospital or dad works the shop, and they really don't know much beyond that. And even though if they are in the hospital or in the shop, there's a lot of different career paths within those entities that they may not be exposed to. So that's our job.
Are they predominantly male?
They're whoever we get. We have a good mixture.
Yeah.
Yeah, good mix.
we actually participated in the program last year and had, I think it was half and half, male, female. We had some workers that worked with one of the landscape companies downtown and did a good job.
And you may hear, you know, I had one person say, well, we never got a young person. Well, you know, it's a work in progress, and we've identified a lot of areas where we can improve on as far as getting the partners with the business community and with our young people. So I'm looking for great things this summer.
Transportation, I mean, in 14, most of them wouldn't have cars. You somehow assist, did you say?
That's why we really encourage, we're encouraging our partners if possible to allow them to work, you know, an 8 to 5. It works a lot with our schedule, and it just, it's a better working arrangement.
Limit on distance.
Well, what's going to happen is the youth will tell us, we know what they're capable of doing and what resources they have, and we work with them that way. You know, when we match, it's more than just a career path. We look at everything because we're teaching them how to look for work and to be conscious of what their limitations are, because they don't have a lot of resources. So we're teaching them those life skills as part of this whole process. You know, if you can only get around on a bike, and you probably shouldn't look for a job in Grand Haven.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good program.
All right, should I begin? Yeah, all right. Andy Stone, for those of you that don't know me, I'm the manager over at Department of Employment and Training. I'm happy to be here with this group today. There's something I'm really excited to talk to you about. And you look at your agenda here and you see one-stop shop. So I'll give you the scoop on that. Basically what we're looking to do is combine all of the resources we have right now into a centralized location here in Muskegon County, which would allow us to provide adult ed, all our state partner services, all the services that we're currently providing as Michigan Works, as well as moving our administrative office, which is over on Oak Avenue on the 3rd floor of the HR building, I guess it is now, and moving over into a space with our contractors so we can supervise them and provide the oversight that we need to really make a difference in the community and to really push through changes. I know in the past, Department of Employment and Training has taken a more manage the money approach to things and stand back and meet some of these state performance measures. Right now we've got a really great workforce development board that has actually recommended this, that I take this forward to you guys this week. But really what they'd like to see, and what I'd like to see as well, is more accountability for the frontline services all the way up through Deb, myself, and Sonia here. And you know, I'm happy to bring this to you because I think it's a better way to serve our community, and I think it's going to actually work out well for us financially, where we're going to save a good chunk of money. And I can run through some of the numbers now and how we anticipate that would happen. So right now, in this last year, on our invoices, we contract out all our Michigan Work Centers. And in the last year, between facilities and office supplies, we spent $788,000. So we can take that cost to start out with, and we'll put that aside. There will be some staffing efficiency that we'll see, is consolidating staff into one location, which would be just a couple. I think it's about 3 staff from where we are now. But that would be like, we wouldn't need multiple people answering the phones. We don't need site managers if we only have one site. So it's not the people that are working necessarily with the job seekers directly. Right now, we also, like I mentioned, we contract out. We're required by law to contract out with a merit-based staffing organization, which is like a unit of local government or a school system, and that's what we've chosen to now. We also have some other partners in there. But their retirement benefit rates are through the roof. We're paying over 24% in a retirement benefit for those employees. I believe next year it's supposed to go up to 27%. Year after that, 31%. So we're kind of finding ourselves in a situation where we're putting money towards benefits for employees instead of back into the community, and looking for a way to get around that. So the state has kind of realized that this is a problem and opened up the capability for us to provide these services directly at our 3% rate as opposed to having to contract it out. It's really attractive. The numbers I see, our staffing cost by moving to this model would drop by about $316,000, which comes at a time where when someone comes into our center right now, we have, for training, we've got to put them on a wait list because we don't have money to put people through training. So this is an extra $300,000 that we can look at investing right back into the community and putting more people in training. Another savings we'll see is, the school systems have their indirect costs, which are attributed to the amount of personnel they have on staff. We'd be able to, which is $141,000, which we'd be able to take in-house and use to support some of the county activities like human resources, information systems, accounting, and so on. And then also we would experience a administrative cost savings of around $77,000, which would be, on our staff we have accountants, on our contractor staff we have accountants, and we're paying all of them. We could eliminate some of the accounting positions from the contractor staff, increase our staff by one person, and experience a savings there. So if I lump this together with the current facilities and supplies cost, we're looking at about $1.3 million that we could go out and reinvest in new facilities, and that would have to include office supplies as well. So doing, and you can stop me anytime if you have questions, but doing a comparison, looking at some comparable space out in Muskegon County, which would be central to where people live and work. Looking maybe northern Muskegon County, a small location where we could cut down on our transportation cost of having to ship people down here. And one for Oceana County because we also oversee the workforce development for Oceana County. And our center in Oceana County is really in rough shape right now. We've run out of room a while ago there, but we have flooding problems. The heat was out, I think, last week or the week before, which made us close for a day. We've had cockroaches in the building. It's not a pretty sight. So that one I'd say is more of an emergency than our other facilities. But I would like to aim for the date, and I think it's a reasonable date to move, which would be July 1st, 2013. That would coincide with the last possible date we can renew our current contracts. And I think that gives if we need a place remodeled or a new place built, that gives us some time to get something up and running.
Andy, how big a building do you need?
All right. I can tell I've put some time into this. Roughly 31,200 square feet.
Roughly.
Yeah. So one of the going back to this is, I've been here a year and a half, and this is one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is we don't have adequate facilities to provide workforce development to the area here. We have so much more we can do. We can offer classes in our facilities and workshops, and like this thing with the youth that we have going on. At the end of the year, we bring all the youth together and celebrate what they've done. Last year, we used Orchard View High School because we've run out of space. We've become really creative with how to maximize the use of space and rearrange rooms to make them multi-purpose rooms. But we really are just operating with the space that we have. So for the Muskegon headquarters, I said 31,000. I think with looking at that includes 9 classrooms in the building and several meeting spaces where employers can come in and interview job seekers. We could have our partners there like Good Temps and the state of Michigan who provides vet services and MRS services, as well as having a GED program run right out of our building.
Andy, I can think of 4 school buildings close. Are you looking at those possibly, or?
I would be open to anything that meets our needs. I like this. The school buildings we're in one right now, and it works great from the classroom component, except we've run out of space because we filled in with staff there and different things. But the schools have great classrooms, but they take our staff and they segregate them into different programs, and there's not a lot of collaboration that goes on in those type of buildings. So we're looking to bring the staff together so they're going to work together more, which is, I think we'd see a lot more benefit and a lot more innovation. Because that's where I think a lot of the ideas for this have come from, is bringing some of the staff together to meet. You know, this comes from a lot of the frontline staff as well as from the top. Yeah.
What is the length of the program
For
the youth? When does it start and how long does it
For the
go?
youth, we run year-round for youth. In the summer, we do 8 weeks, which is aimed at the younger youth. Yeah, the in-school youth. For the out-of-school youth, we'll put them to work whenever they come in, and we can get them lined up with a job.
How many, would this hurt Orchard View and Oak Ridge? Would that take them, eliminate them too then? Them programs they have?
This would move a lot of the staff over to, so it would eliminate the contract we have with Orchard View Schools and require for us to increase our staffing. So,
Well, how many employees are we eliminating by getting rid of the basic, a lot of the suspension plan? Is that the school teachers we're paying, or is that our employees that we're paying?
no, it's the frontline staff in the Michigan Works Service Center. It's, if you walk into the site on Laketon there, and you walk in the door, everyone there is an employee of Orchard View Schools, even though they'll wear, like Sonia has here, a Michigan Works name badge. They're actually contract employees.
So, well, how many employees are we talking there? Because obviously we're getting rid of the pension plan, so we're getting rid of employees, right? Or something.
Well, the biggest, yeah, well, there will be a reduction in some of those duplicative positions that we were talking about, like accounting. The director of Orchard View there has already indicated that she's retiring that date as well, so that would just be not backfilling that position. And there would be repurposing of several other positions that we look at. Like right now, we don't have dedicated workshop teachers and classroom instructors, and it would be changing some of those, we call them career developers now, that are the traditional case manager. Turning some of them or hiring new workshop instructors.
Well, there must be some way we're thinking we're getting them off of the defined benefit program into a defined contribution plan. So, I mean, are you asking them to make this change, or is it going to be this is something that's mandatory making them make this change?
Well, it would be a, it would be a change in their employment situation altogether. So they may work for the Michigan Works system here, but they would be no longer an Orchard View school employee.
This is agreed upon?
The reason that we're bringing this forward today to you is because this is a plan that will come before you in a motion, and I wanted you all to hear about it before it came through. It'll go through committee, it'll go through Ways and Means. But what Andy's saying about most of those positions is they would no longer be Orchard View employees, they would become employees of Michigan Works, not all of them. But
so they're either going to get laid off, or they're going to agree to go
Or they'll
work
come
for
to
you.
work for the
Right,
county.
right,
Yes.
right. And the benefit package would be less than what we're currently paying for that. That's what, when we were talking about the difference in benefits.
But it is going to reflect the employees.
Yeah.
Drastically, the employees that are presently in them groups.
Right, but what happens is that we contract with them, so we RFP that service, so they're never guaranteed that they're always gonna have that
Well, I
contract.
agree, but
Yeah.
I'm just so that we
Right.
know that
Yeah.
we are affecting
Yeah.
employees.
And this will come before you as the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners, because this is Muskegon County, Michigan Works. And that's why, we don't talk a lot about Department of Employment and Training, because they do kind of operate independently to some extent with their own board. But ultimately, on decisions like this, it is before the board to make those decisions. And I thought this was a good place for us to talk about that.
And, well, one thing I could add too is we're getting to the point, like I mentioned, where we don't have funds to put new people into training. So the employees are likely going to be affected one way or another. We're going to have to do more with less employees and cut the number of employees, or we can move them to something like this and keep close to the amount that we have.
I agree with all that, and I'm just saying that, just so that I have in my head,
Yeah.
maybe the people have it clear, that there is gonna be an effect to employees,
Sure.
a major effect, I guess.
Are we, I guess, the question that comes to my mind is that we will have a capital investment that we do to bring this about.
I'm glad to tell you no. Yes, this will be done, at least what we're aiming through is through private investors with a lease back to us. That would be all done through our grant funds from the state and federal government. So,
Okay, so that ultimately, if the Michigan Works program all changes in some manner, we would simply have a responsibility to the end of the lease period.
and maybe not even that. I would ideally like to negotiate something where if our funding went away, like the legislature eliminates our funding, we're not on the hook. The county's off the hook altogether in the deal.
You know, sure, that's a lot more palatable.
I don't know how that funding comes about. How do they determine how much you get?
It's through a formula allocation, which is, it would take a math professor to be able to explain it correctly, but I can give you an idea. It's based off of, the number of people who live in our area and the unemployment situation. But the money comes down from the U.S. Department of Labor to the state's Workforce Development Agency now, who plugs it through the formula and divides it up to the 25 different areas. And yeah, Muskegon, Oceana is our combined, we get a combined.
So the reason I ask is because if they see you're saving money, there's no way they're gonna, want it back or something. If they see you're saving $300,000, you cut your, something the governor would probably.
Well, there's no intention of showing that we're socking away money here. The thing is, every dollar that we can cut off our overhead here is going to go right back into the community. Yeah.
Do we have any idea of what the cost effect is gonna be to the schools that we do this to? I mean, is there because it's obviously gonna hurt them too. I mean, are we putting them in more danger, or?
There is that indirect cost rate is the rate that goes to support, those internal activities, which is about $141,000. That would be shifting that and making that available to the county. So it's a matter of where.
But some of the schools can't hardly afford to hit they're already taking, so, we're gonna put an effect on the schools too.
Correct.
I'm curious, you say Muskegon, Oceana County, but yet you say it comes to the Muskegon County Commission.
Yes, there is a consortium agreement between Muskegon and Oceana that goes back to, I think 2000 was the latest modification of that. And Oceana has given up its right to vote on some of these issues in exchange for a promise of spending 13% of the funds that come in on activities for Oceana County residents.
Thank you.
What is your total budget?
We have, I love this question too, because we have 2 year ends, about 20 different sources of funding, and some of them last for more than 1 year. So I would say during any given year, we can be in the ballpark of $8 million.
Are these people going to be employees of Muskegon County then?
Yes.
What's your success rate? How many people have gone through this program and onto the employer you matched them with, or the skills?
So just for our job seekers in general coming through, I would say, I'm dancing around because I don't have an exact number for you, but I can tell you that we've seen more impact when we go out and we talk to the employers and we design our programs around what the employers are hiring and what skills they're looking for out there. And then using using the hot skills, as we call them now, to drive our training. And when we do that, our success rate is a lot higher than it has been in the past when we've taken a job seeker off the street and said, what do you really want to be in life? And then paying to train them. So yeah, I'm sorry for not having that.
Okay, felons can get into this program?
Yeah, we have options available for people with felonies as well.
I think it's a very, very positive step for the system, because legacy costs are something that is on everyone's mind right now. You're adapting to make it more usable within the community and to reduce those costs as much as you can within your parameters.
Yeah, thank you. It feels like it's as much survival as it is anticipating what the demands are going to be.
Is it competitive with any other program?
Do we have competition in the community? Not really. I mean, we look at.
Not competitive with community college programs or anything of that nature?
Oh no, they're our favorite customer, I guess. They love the people we send to them for training, and we've infused the community college and Baker College with a lot of money, especially over the Recovery Act period, putting people into training. We just get people ready to go to that step or to go to what the next step is. We're a cog in the wheel of workforce development or economic development.
Who actually provides the training to prepare them to get ready for the job? How to dress? 'Cause, in many cases I know a lot of them don't get it.
Right.
They just don't know how to dress appropriately for a job, and I found in talking to various people and agencies that's a major problem. So how do we get them ready, and how long does it take?
Well, I can tell you it's an ongoing process, and I think ideally it would start a lot earlier than people coming into us, and that's why we're very involved with the school system, trying to get some of these basic job readiness components tied into with the curriculum taught in schools. We've contracted out with individuals who've come in and done training. We're trying to train our staff to get them more in tune. So if they see a job seeker come in that may need to focus more on how they dress or conduct themselves, that they can help point that out in a constructive way. Yeah.
I missed the first couple minutes of the presentation. Could you explain that JAG?
Oh, sure. Yeah. JAG stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a nationwide program that we've adopted here in Muskegon as a pilot for this year at Muskegon High School. And it puts 36 students we enrolled in. We aim for about 40. Next year we're going to try to put 40 through. And we work with them all year on job skills, community service. It's more than just succeeding in school, which is how we really gain traction with the schools, is put it in here. This will decrease your dropout rate. We've turned it into, let's build leaders out of the youth. Some youth that are on the fringe of dropping out, and turn them into community leaders and get them ready for a career and start thinking about going to college and going on a career path.
Now, training, is it tech training or just
No, it's
laborers kind of?
It's really just at, are you talking training in general or Jay?
The training in general.
Oh, okay.
Are these students being trained for high-tech or entry into high-tech type careers?
Wherever Sonia and her team, wherever there is a need, they meet with employers constantly. She's got a team of, there's 5 of you, and they're in constant contact with employers. I know she's met with some last week that will say, Sonia, I'm looking for someone with this skill set. And so we'll go through everyone that we have in our community here and look for someone who meets that skill set. If we see that we don't have that, that's when we start approaching like the tech center or the college and say, this employer is looking for someone with these skills. We see you have a program that's kind of like this. If you'll augment your program to include this skill set, we'll be able to send 20 people through there, and then the employer's going to love them because they have exactly the skills that the employer is looking for.
What is the hot skill, as you mentioned earlier? What's the hot skill right now in Muskegon County that potential employers might be looking for?
Let's see, CNC programmer. I think it's the number one on the list there. CNC programmers.
Nurse?
No, that's the
Computer.
Computer.
Numerical control.
Numerical control.
yeah.
Machine.
Yep.
I can't get them quick enough.
I work at Job Corps in Grand Rapids. I heard you mention something about Job Corps. Do a lot of these students complete this program or training and then go into Job Corps? I see some students from Muskegon at Job Corps. Are you guys working with them?
We've worked with Tawana on, you know, a lot of it depends on, you know, if there's an interest by the youth. But they have access to the one-stop centers where they can come in and make presentations and things like that. So we have, it just really depends on, you know, often in this area they'll go directly to her, but if she wants to come into a center to make presentations, we will definitely accommodate that, as we have in the past.
Thank you.
I guess what I would just like to add is Debbie and Sonia and Andy have done a really fantastic job for Muskegon and Oceana County in some of the things that they've recently done at DET. The hot job list is one of the things that they worked on, that everybody in the community is talking about, this hot job list now. We're kind of the first that have put something like that together. And they did, one of the things that they've done that's different is they've changed the philosophy, and Andy mentioned that. And the philosophy in the past was that a worker would come in and say, I want to be a basket weaver, and we'd spend money and train him to be a basket weaver, and then there'd be no basket weaving jobs. So we're working much closer with the employers, and that's why we do have a waiting list, and that's a good thing, because, and turning that money around and being able to meet the waiting list is really, I just want to give kudos to them, because this is a department that we don't hear a lot about, but it's running very well, and they're doing a really good job. And thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Having worked with them on the board the last year or two, things have really changed, and there's some vision, and things are moving in a good direction to a large extent. Anyone else? We are now to...
Some seats are going to open up.
Seats are going to open up.
Yeah.